اي والله ها فليبر دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا اخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة يا اخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا اخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة عندي لك رقصة قوية يا الحبيب اسمها الصبوحة خطبها نصيب مد يدك كنا بتعطيها كف وهز كتفك هيل خليك شديد عطني رقصة الفريسة زيد عليها شوي عندي بيزة حق المحتار اللي نعرفه صيده سويلي وقفة دانا هيبة عيل سوي رقصة بياض يبلي واحد كرك يلا بياض طق سيارة بوليس يلا سولي رقصة ثانية رقصة البطريق ولا ستة في مان يا اخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا اخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة يا اخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا اخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة حلو زين مكانه حلو ديكوريشن ماله حلو سولي رقصة المارشميلو ربعناها فوق كله كامل كيلو رفيجك طايح كتفه كان يهزه هز جاي من زامه والليل مبيش في عبوري يا ودل لان احنا شايلين هالليلة يوبا شيل اقول عطني رقصة طقلي صرناي اقول عطني رقصة كلمة تاي اقول سوي رقصة هاللو قلباي زيد لي شكر وايد وانا اشرب لي جاي يا اخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا اخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة يا اخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا اخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة يا اخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا اخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة يا اخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا اخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة اي والله ها فليبر دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا اخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة يا اخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا اخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة عندي لك رقصة قوية يا الحبيب اسمها الصبوحة خطبها نصيب مد يدك كنا بتعطيها كف وهز كتفك هيل خليك شديد عطني رقصة الفريسة زيد عليها شوي عندي بيزة حق المحتار اللي نعرفه صيده سويلي وقفة دانا هيبة عيل سوي رقصة بياض يبلي واحد كرك يلا بياض طق سيارة بوليس يلا سولي رقصة ثانية رقصة البطريق ولا ستة في مان يا اخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا اخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة يا اخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا اخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة حلو زين مكانه حلو ديكوريشن ماله حلو سولي رقصة المارشميلو ربعناها فوق كله كامل كيلو رفيجك طايح كتفه كان يهزه هز جاي من زامه والليل مبيش في عبوري يا ودل لان احنا شايلين هالليلة يوبا شيل اقول عطني رقصة طقلي صرناي اقول عطني رقصة كلمة تاي اقول سوي رقصة هاللو قلباي زيد لي شكر وايد وانا اشرب لي جاي يا اخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا اخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة يا اخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا اخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة يا اخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا اخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة يا اخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا اخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة اي والله ها فليبر دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا اخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة يا اخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا اخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة عندي لك رقصة قوية يا الحبيب اسمها الصبوحة خطبها نصيب مد يدك كنا بتعطيها كف وهز كتفك هيل خليك شديد عطني رقصة الفريسة زيد عليها شوي عندي بيزة حق المحتار اللي نعرفه صيده سويلي وقفة دانا هيبة عيل سولي رقصة بياض يبلي واحد كرك يلا بياض طق سيارة بوليس يلا سولي رقصة ثانية رقصة البطريق ولا ستة في مان يا اخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا اخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة يا اخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا اخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة حلو زين مكانه حلو ديكوريشن ماله حلو سولي رقصة المارشميلو ربعناها فوق كله كامل كيلو رفيجك طايح كتفه كان يهزه هز جاي من زامه والليل مبيش في عبوري يا ودل لان احنا شايلين هالليلة يوبا شيل اقول عطني رقصة طقلي صرناي اقول عطني رقصة كلمة تاي اقول سوي رقصة هاللو قلباي زيد لي شكر وايد وانا اشرب لي جاي يا اخي دوس دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا أخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة يا أخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا أخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة يا أخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا أخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة يا أخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا أخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة. اي والله ها فليبر دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا أخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة يا أخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا أخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة. عندي لك رقصة قوية يا الحبيب اسمها الصبوحة خطبها نصيب مد يدك كنا بتعطيها كف وهز شتفك هيل خليك شديد عطني رقصة الفريسة زيد عليها شوي عندي بيزة حق المحتر اللي نعرفه صيده سوي لي وقفة دانا هيبة عيل سوي رقصة بياض يبلي واحد كرك يلا بياض طق سيارة بوليس يلا سوي رقصة ثانية رقصة البطريق ولا ستة في مان يا أخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا أخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة يا أخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا أخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة. حلو زين مكانه حلو ديكوريشن ماله حلو سوي رقصة المارشميلو ربعناها فوق كله كامل كيلو رفيجك طايح كتفك كان يهزه هز جاي من زامه والليل مبيش في عبوري يا ودل لان احنا شايلين هالليلة يوبا شيل اقول عطني رقصة طقلي صرناي اقول عطني رقصة كلمة تاي اقول سوي رقصة هاللو قلباي زيد لي شكر وايد وانا اشرب لي شاي يا اخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا اخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة يا اخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا اخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة يا اخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا اخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة يا اخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا اخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة. اي والله ها فليبر دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا أخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة يا أخي دوس عندي خوش فصلة يا أخي تفوز والله خوش رقصة. عندي لك رقصة قوية يا الحبيب اسمها الصبوحة خطبها نصيب مد يدك كنا بتعطيها كف وهز شتفك هيل خل
A very good evening to all of you. Welcome to the first webinar of 2026. Today is an important day because today I'm also going to disclose some of the strategic things that we're going to do this particular year. Let's also try and do a recap of what are the things that we did last year which mattered. So the things that we could achieve last year was A, we launched our first personalized newspaper for all users, which is customized to them by the name of Mojo Times. This Mojo Times is not just a newspaper which just accumulates news, but today I'm very happy to tell you that MarketsMojo does over 4,000 articles on a daily basis covering all listed stocks in India. We will soon start covering all the listed stocks under our news for all countries. So this was a very big initiative that we did. It may look like a launch that came to you and you see it, but I don't know whether you see this as a very deep value addition. But for me, my day never starts unless I look at my Mojo Times, which is specifically for my portfolio, which are things that I need to know, things that what are the new stocks that are coming in, Mojo strategies, all of that get covered in the Mojo Times. So that was one of the very, very big initiatives that we did last year. We relaunched Infinity, which was a product where we had made tremendous wealth for our existing users in the year 2024-25. And we 23-24, sorry. And we said that we want to bring this product out much stronger, much more valuable for our customers. And we relaunched the whole of Mojo Infinity. A lot of things that happened in last year were more valuable for us internally to try and see what all things we can do to make things better. The result of that you will see in the first quarter of 2026. So, some of the key things that we are going to be doing to elevate the whole platform per se on research and recommendation are the following. First of all, from a bottoms up approach where you only look at a stock, we have, as you know, done a lot of webinars, and we introduced top 10 stocks on 31st of December using a sector IP. So we went up and we said which are the top sectors. Do these sectors, identification of these sectors work, which has been a long exercise that we continued over 2025. And if they work, can we capture that in creating a portfolio of relevant stocks? Because at any given point in time, you may have 50, 60, 70 buy and strong buy stocks. Which are the top 10 stocks that you can look at? And that was the effort that we did with this sector IP that we created. I'm very happy to tell you that we have done our first test of market phasing, which is the next level, which phase of the market we are. And if that we are able to implement, then which phase of the market, accordingly what sectors and accordingly what stocks. So if we are able to crack this in the first quarter, I think that would be our biggest leap over the last 10 years on making sure that our IP is much more sharper, our selection is much more sharper, we are much more pinpointed towards 10, 15 stocks in the whole universe of stocks that are there on the listed paradigm. And there is one thing which is very critical for us to crack in the first quarter, and that is the exit strategy. Can we come out with the right exit strategies for not just the portfolios, but even the stocks? A lot of times users have given us feedback that you guys are great at identifying stocks, but your exit strategy is not that good. Now, I would not lay that blame completely onto the product, primarily because our exit strategy is at a research basis, which means that when we find that a stock is not looking fundamentally good, it may go to a hold, to a sell, but the stock has the freedom of going on in one particular direction. But when you take a portfolio approach, in portfolio, because of your risk and return dynamics that are there, you are capable of doing your own, cutting down the stock when it is going down, or loss booking, or even for that matter, profit booking. So there is a thought that is evolving in my head, which is that can we use the portfolio dynamics to make our stock list, which are Mojo stocks, turnaround, reliable, all of these things much better in terms of the audience and in terms of making sure that we come out with a right exit out there. Also, sometimes our whole list of products can be a little confusing for investors, primarily because, for example, a Mojo stocks, we may say a stock that comes to 68 is no longer a Mojo stock. But when we say it is no longer a Mojo stock, investors typically deem that they need to get out, which is not the signal that we are actually giving. So if we are not giving a signal of the investors to get out, then why do we call it as an exit from Mojo stock strategy? We can keep it in the Mojo stock strategy once it falls below 7, and we can have certain exit parameters. If it hits those exit parameters, then we actually tell investors that this stock is moving out. So there's a lot of learnings that we've captured by talking to you, and thanks to these format of webinars that we do, and good questions that you keep asking us, for which we will always be thankful, because these are the things that we take back. So to sum up, the first quarter initiative of MarketsMojo would be to launch a sector IP, to launch a market phasing IP, so that we know what phase of the market we are, and to also see how we can improve our exit strategies across various stocks. So that's what we are going to go with the first quarter. Today, I had done a demo of the product last year. When I say last year, it was just about 10 days back, because now it is 2026, and which was highly appreciated. And there was such a deep demo that we did with you that I couldn't cover all the sections. So I'm going to cover most of the sections, try and cover most of the sections today. If again I'm not going to, I'm not able to cover because of time, then we will maybe do a phase 2 of this particular session. With that note, let's get on to a little bit of 2-3 slides. I'm not going to bore you with the slides. I actually want to go to the site. So let's try and start so that we can also have some time for Q&A. A disclaimer. Nothing discussed in the webinar should be considered as investment advice. We strongly advise all participants to check with certified experts before taking any investment decision. Market risk warning. Investment in securities is subject to market risk. Past performance should not be construed as a guarantee for future returns. And high risk investment in equity and equity related securities involve a high degree of risk, and users should not invest until they can afford to take the risk on their investments. A lot of you have come back to us. I'm sorry to say that we have finished our offers. What we have now launched for people who missed it is the whole of MarketsMojo and Mojo 1 and stock of the week for 14,999 plus 1 year free, which means that this is a package of 2 years. If you want to take in, this is the last offer that we're doing for all people who missed, and this is a special offer that is available for the webinar attendees. Having said that, a lot of users have shown interest in the US package, and hence for certain more users, I have kept that package on, which is 19,999, the whole of India plus the whole of US, including stock of the week, where you get 2 years free for 19,999. So this is a package cost of 3 years. This is available for only the webinar attendees with the link that is down out there. This is a huge 90% discount. We are going to open this up for this webinar for some limited set of users who missed it. So please, if you have not avail it, and you can also avail a 14,999. If you feel that budget is a problem, you can also avail 14,999 and get 1 year free. So it becomes a 2-year package, but 19,999 is a 3-year package, and it also includes the whole of US, which is the difference out there. Please make sure that you would have subscribed to it as soon as possible. During the webinar or after the webinar is also possible. The links are always with you. Now let's go and look at one slide, which is my favorite slide since the time I started wealth management myself. It matters what is the skin in the game. When I say skin in the game, a lot of users come to us, and say that, sir, my portfolio is down 10%, 15%, 20%. And I say that, okay, so how much have you invested? So typical answers would be, say, 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs, whatever. And when they have these kind of answers, I also ask them, what is your net worth? And surprisingly, people call their net worth, or people don't know how to talk about their net worth in the right possible way, because most of the guys would typically take their net worth as FDs plus debt plus my equity portfolios plus my mutual fund portfolios. That is not your net worth. The net worth is total assets plus total liabilities. Right? So you will take the assets, obviously liabilities are minus, so you will remove that sign of plus, convert it into a minus, and that becomes your total net worth. So if you say that I've got 50 lakh rupees, 25 in FDs, maybe 10 in mutual funds, and another 15 in debt, or whatever that thing is, that is 50 lakhs. Plus, if you've got a 1 crore or 2 crore house, that becomes 2.5 crores. Plus, now let's look at the liability. If you owe somebody anything, which is your loans or your home loans or any other kind of loans that are there, I'm not talking expenses out here, I'm talking liabilities, that is deducted from their amount. So in this case, if I have a 1 crore home loan, I would say my total net worth is 2.5 crores minus 1 crore, which is 1.5 crores. And if I am investing 10% of that into equities, which you may say, I'm a very aggressive investor because I have 50 lakhs, so I'm investing, say, maybe 25 lakhs, right? So 25 lakhs on 50 lakhs becomes a 50% allocation, but the same 25 lakhs on a 2 crore net worth becomes a 20% allocation. So when you look at that treadmill approach, when you say that, I've been, why is my net worth not increasing? Is primarily because your fixed assets are more than your liquid assets. And liquid asset also, the allocation is something that you need to be very careful about. So if I look at real estate, the house that I'm living in, or even if I were to do another real estate investment, for me, that is the most conservative investment that I've done, right? So I will always keep the house into conservative mode, and the remaining I will then say whether I am invested in equities, I am invested in mutual funds, or I am invested in some other places. Most of the investors who come out as aggressive on their liquid net worth are actually most conservative if you were to take into a total net worth principle into place, which is even their fixed assets as a part of the net worth. And that's a definition that very few Indians understand. Right? That's a definition maybe youngsters understand today because they've, the house buying decisions have been delayed a little. But for people who have multiple houses, multiple real estate properties, for example, one I live in, one is for investment sake, then you have to see the ROI of what you're getting out there, depending on at what stage you're going in. Still, any real estate, according to me, is a difficult asset to manage because it is from a moderate to a conservative risk profile, A, and B, the liquidation of that particular real estate is a very long drawn process and it's very price sensitive. It doesn't give you the flexibility of going out. If our investors can understand this one slide, that itself is enough for them to make money, because I know that with a powerful tool like MarketsMojo or various other things that you have, a lot of you are seasoned investors. The seasoning of the investment is not towards only picking up the right stock. The seasoning is to make sure that when you are aggressive at a total net worth basis, not at a liquid asset basis. If we ever understand that if we have to generate a ROI, a return on investment is return on assets. ROI becomes equal to ROA. What is the return on assets that I generate? Then assets include liquid plus non-liquid assets. Today you are seeing a huge journey on gold that you've got. I think people have got appreciation of 60-65% on gold, right? So that is return on asset. You are today counting that, and suddenly everybody is opened up and said, "Arey, my gold has become now 2 crores." So suddenly your mind is open and you started counting it. That is because you were never counting return on assets as a total phenomena. Otherwise, your gold appreciation also should be counted. When I say gold, it should be ETFs, it should be gold that is there in the locker. Don't show it to anybody, but at least make sure that you are counting that to try and say what is the ROA on my total investments, and that will always defocus you from just one asset class to make sure that what are we planning this and how is the asset class how is the total allocation that I'm looking at. You can grow in equity at 25% CAGR, but sometimes when you look at your ROA, which is your return on assets, equity being one part of the asset, your ROA can still be 7-8%. So it really doesn't make you wealthy. It makes you happy because you've grown on one asset class, which may be 10, 15, 20% part of your allocation. It makes you happy, but it doesn't make you wealthy. And we are not here to be happy because that is something which is very personal. We are here to make sure we create wealth which can be passed on by generations, and hence the relevance of this slide to make sure that this is the allocation that you're looking at a net worth level. So at a net worth level, you can very easily, all of you are very, very seasoned investors. You can look at your total assets. You can look at your total liabilities. I mean, in my head, I know my number. I can count it very easily. It takes me less than 30 seconds to count. But if you then look at your equity allocation out there and you say that, even if I have 10% or 25% allocation, at 25%, my equity growth will give you 12% ROA growth. The remaining 75% is giving me how much? So 12% into 0.25, which is 25% weightage, plus 10%, for example, 10% is the remaining assets, or maybe 7, 8, 9%, whatever it is, into 75%, gives me a weighted average growth ROA of what? 8%, 8.5%, 9%, despite making a 25% equity growth, is just about 2% over the inflation. Is it going to make you wealthy? Answer is no. It is not going to make you wealthy. It is going to only give you hallucination of wealth. Because एक ही चीज डेली ट्रैक कर सकते हैं, वो equity market. ना real estate डेली ट्रैक कर सकते हैं, ना FD का भी डेली ट्रैक कर सकते हैं, ना debt, maybe mutual funds you can track. The only thing that moves every day, which takes our attention and which gets our attention on that moving part, अरे क्या हिल रहा है, is the equity allocation. What doesn't move the ticker is the ROA. ROA, return on assets, is what we should be bothered about rather than return on investments. And as I said, the difference in between these two, get in everything, total assets minus total liabilities, is where your net worth stands. So if investors are trying to wiggle about 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, mera nahi ho raha hai, main nikal raha hu and all that stuff, that's not the kind of investor base that will ever make money in equity markets. Never. They will never make money. They will actually only lose money because markets will go, 3-4 say months, if the markets go up, they will invest more money. When the markets come down, they'll remove the money. So they will always remove money on losses, as they do. Where you should be trying to have exits which are at peak rather than at bottoms. So, sir, my short answer to you is that you can, yes, you can definitely start investing from April. Abhishek Malia ji, is it financially sound to exclude both personal use gold jewelry and a self-occupied primary residence from net worth calculations on the basis that neither is intended for liquidation or portfolio rebalancing? Mr. Malaji, answer is no. You may not want to liquidate it, but you need to know that what is, so you can basically say, this is my total ROA. You should basically then look at your previous property, which is something that you're living in, and you should say, what is the kind of ROA it's giving me? So is it better for me to invest in the other property or invest somewhere else? Right? For that sense, my personal approach is, whether it's jewelry, whether it is a house that you live in, all is a part of your net worth, and ROA has to be calculated at your net worth level. All right, with that note, I am going to go down onto the presentation. Today, what I want to pick up first is I want to pick up the portfolio section. Because a lot of people, I think, don't use the portfolio as it should be used. So if you see this tab, which you guys know, there's a lot of portfolios that are there out here. And I can go to individual portfolios and I can see the score of those portfolios, right? So I can go into any portfolio, for example, please understand, do not see these as advisory because these are dummy portfolios. So if I go here, this is my portfolio. Now there is a total score on the portfolio which we launched, which is an excellent feature. And if you do certain changes to this on this particular portfolio, your score can radically improve. And today I'm going to show you how to do that as well. You have mutual funds, you have commodity, you can possibly score you can also store all your commodities, fixed income, property, cash, borrowings, everything out here, which once you do that, it talks about a total net worth phenomena right out here, as I've explained you, right? The total assets and liabilities, and will tell you what is your total net worth out there. Now let's go back onto our portfolio. There are these various tabs which are very interesting. So on the principal tab, what we've done here is a very simple scorecard where you'll see the stocks you're holding, scores, which is what the recommendations are against all of this, latest prices, investment price, investment value, days gain, unrealized gain, and hence the total value out there. On the top, I can see what is my days gain and what is my unrealized gain today, which is say 16% out here. Now, if you look at the next tab, which is price, it gives me price movements. It talks about high, low, 52-week high, low, all of the information that you normally see around on the market section is here customized for you for every stock that you hold. You can look at contributions, that what is the unrealized gain contribution that today you're holding. So 17% of the contribution of my unrealized gain is from say this one stock. Then there's 4.2, and you can also see 11% negative contribution is coming from one stock out there. I can also see it in conjunction with the portfolio weights, which is say 47.2. So portfolio weights and the unrealized gains, it tells me if I am down say 11% on this last stock and my weight has 47%, that is the reason my portfolio is suffering too much. So I may want to reduce this particular weight over a period of time to make sure that it's aligned with around 10 to 15% weight if I have a 10 stock portfolio out here. I see my dividend scorecard out here. Anybody who's given a dividend. So if you see here, I've got my dividend received, 1,42,000 here, 52,000 here. I saw all my dividends here. This is your Mojo scorecard for all the stocks that you hold. So how's the quality, how's the valuation, how's the financial trend, how's the technicals, what is the portfolio weight. So all of that you want to see at a stock page level is available here on the Mojo scorecard. Now if you go here, this is very interesting. It talks about risk adjusted return and betas. I know what the betas are. Betas are whether I'm in line with the market or I have stocks which are out of line in the market, which is say 1.5 here, which means that if the market goes down 1, I go 1.5 up. If the market goes down 1%, I may go down 1.5 out here. So most of my betas are fine. They are in range of 1 to 1.5 is a fine range. And VAR, this is a very important factor. If you see here on the top right, VAR, value at risk. VAR is the maximum I can lose in one day if the stock really breaks. This is calculated as a exercise that we do over a longish period of time to calculate what is the VAR at a stock. So my total loss that I can bear on this particular stock on a single day is what is written out here as a VAR. I have then next tab, which is liquidity, which talks about the stocks and if there are any liquidity issues. If there are liquidity issues, they are highlighted in the red column, in the second last column as yes out here. I then have tax. It talks about my average holding period, short term, if there is any. If there's anything which is long-term tax, latest value, post-tax value, short-term tax, days left, my total tax out here. If you look at next is the ratios, which are the key ratios that we see out here, which is typically dividend yield, the PE of each stocks, ROE, return on equity, debt to equity ratios, price to books. Some of the important ratios that are mentioned out here. So yeah, we were at the ratios. You can also see all the financials that matter here. what is the net sales, what is the interest paid, what is tax ratio, what is the net profit, what is the EPS. So this is a very, very good section which a lot of people don't use, because if I were to just evaluate my portfolio for half an hour without any disturbance, I just come to this section and I look at every single risk kya hai, liquidity, tax kya ho raha hai, kitne din dur hai short term se, should I sell it or not, ratios, are my ratios fine, my risk, my returns of these, which tells me how much is my returns are in green, how much is my red. It basically gives me a heat map of all the returns that are there. Obviously, these returns have to also be seen in terms of the allocation, because one stock has 47% allocation. So that's the other thing. The other parameter is results. It tells me results kab aa raha hai. Results in 12 days, results in 12 days. So I can track that pre-result price mein movement ho raha hai kya. Like for example, here, for example, HDFC Bank, where the result is expected in 12 days, on 17th of Jan, where as soon as the exchange starts announcing the result dates, we keep updating the result dates. So you can track your stocks 1 or 2, 3, 4 days before to try and see what is happening out there. You don't need to take a decision, but it tells you where the trend is, where the market is taking the returns, where the market is showing you where the results can be. And then you have total returns, which tells you realized gains, unrealized gains, total gains, and total return. Trust me, this one tab itself, which I have shown you right now, these multiple tabs, is better than any other portfolio tracker that you will see in the country. I can see total returns, results, I can see returns, I can see financials together, I can see ratios, I can see tax, I can see liquidity, I can see risk of these stocks, I can see Mojo stock, Mojo 4 dots parameters along with scores, I can see dividends, I can see contributions, I can see holdings, price, and overview. Now that is the what we call as the portfolio tracker. This is one of the most exhaustive portfolio tracker that you will see anywhere in the world, in fact. Then comes, how am I doing today? Now, a lot of times we look at index comparison kaise karenge, right? So when we look at index comparison kaise karenge, for example, let's give me the screen, please. Let's assume that I am making a portfolio and I have essentially a small cap portfolio, or I have small and mid cap portfolio. Let's assume I have 50% mid caps in my portfolio, I have 50% small caps in my portfolio. Now, broader index, typically you will compare it to the Sensex. Every day you see the movement of Sensex. But if I were to look at, is that your real index to compare? The answer is no, because there are multitude of indices in the market, right? So if today you were to look at, can we create a customized index for Mohit Batra here? Because he's holding 5 large caps and 5 small caps. There's no point him comparing his portfolio performance to the index return, because वो तो index में तो 30, 50 large cap पड़ी हुई. So उसके why am I comparing my portfolio with the index portfolio, right? For that matter, I may not be wanting to compare it with the BSE 500 as well. So what we have done here, and this is one of the landmarks that you guys, maybe I have covered it 5 years back, so I'm covering this again. If you see, there is a small word out there by the name of composite index. Composite index is different for every investor, which we make specially looking at your market cap allocations. So here in this particular example of 5 mid cap stocks and 5 small cap stocks, I will take the BSE mid cap and I'll put a 50% weight there depending on the value, because the value may be different out there. I'm talking of equally allocated portfolio. And I'll take 50% of the BSE small cap, and we create a special index for every investor. Every investor has its own index basis the holdings that he has. So he can compare what is happening. And as I go on to the tabs, if you see, if I go on a 3-month, now if you see, although the Sensex has gone up by 4%, my composite index has only gone up by 1.5%. So in this case, if you see, my portfolio has delivered a 4%, Sensex had delivered a 4%, which means I have not outperformed. But if I were to compare it with my composite index, I have outperformed. So the way to looking at things is that if I am an aggressive customer, what is the aggressive composite index? If I am a conservative customer, तो मेरा index क्या होना चाहिए? So depending on your portfolio holdings, automatically we create a index which is customized for you. Now this variance will keep getting wider. If you see here, 26%, my index is Sensex is 42%, my composite index is 32%. The reason my composite index obviously is 32% is because of my holding period. And similarly, if you see, it will keep getting, and obviously here you can see cash flows. I've only done one investment here, and cash adjusted as well, the portfolio returns. Again, features that you will not find anywhere else in the market. This is the live commentary of how your portfolio is doing today. This starts as soon as the market opens. You can look at today's contributors that added money, today's contributors that dragged my portfolio, and if there's any news that has come in my portfolio that gets captured here. This is if there's any upcoming corporate action. There's no upcoming event. If there's an event happening tomorrow, it will start appearing out here today. And if you see, how is my large cap holding done, how is my mid cap holding done, and how my small cap holdings have done. So if you see it here, my large caps have done worse than the index today. My mid caps have done worse than the mid cap BSE mid cap here, and my small caps have done worse than the small cap index. So it gives me a very good flavor of how my whole market caps are performing. It tells me whether the drag is happening because of large cap, mid cap, or because of the small caps, and gives you a lot of mind to say that whether I need to churn my small cap portfolio or my mid cap or my large cap portfolio. Now let's come to something that we had developed almost 8 years back, which has got no parallel again in the industry. 7 dots, which tells me, and for people who think this is very boring, trust me, this is where the money is. Unless you don't understand these 7 dots, even if I say the first 4 dots, the remaining we will understand it for you. Quality, valuation, and financial trend over the overall portfolio. So it tells me my quality of my total holdings is very good. My financial trend is also very good, but I may be in expensive or worse valued companies. And obviously I can look at making this portfolio better, which I'll do shortly. But if you see returns, not doing good. Risk, it's a high risk portfolio. Average beta is 1.13. There are major liquidity issues somewhere and the higher concentration out there. And then you can obviously go through immense information that is there on returns, risk, why it is there, liquidity, diversification, and quality. Now, most of you will say, "तो मैं इसका करूँ क्या? How do I make this portfolio better?" One of our, that what you call it as the gem, which is the very hidden gem of the whole product, is today what I'm going to show you, which is this. Something which is so fabulous. Right. I have gone to the portfolio optimizer. I'm going to take the same portfolio and today show you what I can do with that particular portfolio. So now let's look at, and this is a very guided approach. There are 2 ways you can even fast forward this approach, or you can, first time you should go through step by step, right? So if you look at this, I continue, and let's assume that I have certain portfolios out here, right? I take, say, one portfolio, which is the one that we were viewing right now, right? And I say, I want to make this portfolio better, right? I want to make this portfolio as a better portfolio. So I say continue with this portfolio. Sorry, I think I chose the wrong portfolio. Let me just go and choose the right portfolio again. Right. Now it is looking at my returns, my risk, my market cap contribution, sector contribution, and stock returns. I can click on any, if you see there is a button out here which says fast forward. Let's not click it right now because I want to take you through the approach, but otherwise it tells you straight what to do with your portfolio if I click on this fast forward. But let's go through one by one. I can open up any of these and it will give me a detailed analysis. So market cap contribution, I can open up this. It says that my absolute returns, the most of my returns have come from small caps, then mid caps, then micro caps. Obviously large caps have given me negative returns. So all of this information is here. I say continue. Now the first thing it is doing is that portfolio construction. So making a portfolio better is in two ways that you can do it. First is portfolio construction kaisa hai, and second is stock selection kaisa hai. So what is portfolio construction? Portfolio construction are things like number of stocks ठीक है अपने पास. Portfolio construction is that अपने पास single stock कहीं तो बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं है. Are our stock allocations fine? It is about एक sector में बहुत ज़्यादा तो नहीं है. Concentration तो नहीं है एक sector में. So we look at portfolio construction because that is the first holy grail of whether my portfolio is a balanced portfolio or not. So you can have 10 stocks also and have a great portfolio construction. But you can have 50 stocks also and you can have a very bad portfolio construction. Now let's look at this. So it is telling me there is a thumbs down in almost everything. Look at this, tail stocks. One stock, what is a tail stock? Where the allocation is less than 1% of the portfolio value. So if वो उससे होने वाला ही नहीं कुछ, राइट. टेल स्टॉक रखने से कुछ होने वाला नहीं है बिकॉज वो अगर 100% भी ऊपर जाएगा तो उसका वैल्यूएशन 2% हो जाएगा, या वो 50% नीचे भी जाएगा तो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. सो व्हाई डू इन्वेस्ट वेस्ट मनी इन अ टेल स्टॉक, इनफैक्ट एड इट टू अ बेटर स्टॉक और व्हाटएवर. सो टिपिकली स्पीकिंग जहाँ पे स्टॉक इज अराउंड 2-3-4% काइंड ऑफ अ थिंग, अकॉर्डिंग टू मी यू शुड टिपिकली ट्राई एंड रीबैलेंस that particular stock into a bigger holding. Here the calculation is 1%. Top holding, for example. So in this, 47.8% is in Bajaj Finance, which is never a good thing. Whatever you do, never peg your fortunes on say one big holding, which is in this case of 47.8%. Allocation to top 3 stocks. 10 में से या 9 में से 3 स्टॉक ही 80% है. So you can imagine how big a risk I'm playing out here, right? So it is saying that 78.8%, and obviously again you can open up, are in the top 3 stocks, which is Bajaj Finance 47.8, Loris Lab 22.7, Kaya Limited is say 8.3. Allocation to top sector, again एक sector में मेरे पास 47.8%. which is single company, which is Bajaj Finance. So that is also not good. And there are 2 stocks which have got liquidity issues. I can open up and say, अगर मैं बेचने जाऊँगा, so these 2 stocks will have liquidity issues, which is Kaya and say TV18 Broadcast. Please, I'm again saying this is a dummy portfolio. Don't go as per this being my portfolio. Let's look at, once I've understood, you don't have to do anything. You understand this, you go through it. एक बार आप पढ़ लेंगे ना इसको, second बार you will go फट because you will understand all of this. So now we have looked at portfolios, which is the construction of the portfolio. I'm bad at all of this. Let's look at now stock selection कैसा है मेरा. Now it is analyzing my stock selection. So हाई बीटा स्टॉक्स नहीं है मेरे पास, 1.2 1.3 के आसपास. अदरवाइज मेरे पास क्वालिटी में देयर आर 3 stocks which have a problem with quality. There are 2 stocks which have a problem with valuation. There are 2 stocks that have a problem with their current financial trend. Let's look at these 2 stocks. जिनका results are not very good. Kaya and for example TV18 Broadcast. And there are 3 stocks which are in a technically bearish mode. Again, information only. Now I go to continue. It is now doing my risk assessment. It is saying with 9 stocks, with 47% in one stock, the kind of large cap, mid cap, small cap holdings that you have, various factors that it is considering, which is portfolio allocation and stock level allocation. I am currently an aggressive customer. You can modify your risk profile and you can say, nahi, मैं अभी aggressive नहीं, moderate हो जाऊंगा. I will become a moderate customer or I will become a very aggressive customer, whatever you want to do, right? So let's assume I say I want to be a moderate customer and I say continue. Now it is saying that confirm your selection, please. So with disclaimers, I say I've read and I continue. Just give me 1 second. Sorry, give me 1 second. I'll just quickly go there. Yeah. So now it's saying that what is the action I'm going to take? Because I changed my profile from aggressive to a moderate. And I'm saying, please make my portfolio better. So you have currently 10 stocks in your portfolio. I'm going to take it to 15 to 20 stocks. You have one tail stocks. I'll either, if the stock is good, I'll either increase allocation or I'll tell you to get out. Top 3 sectors should not be more than 41% of your portfolio. Market cap allocation is within range. Large and mega cap should be 80% because 8 points. Mid cap is 8% and small and micro cap. Your top holding should be less than 13.5%. And your top sector, which is at 47.82%, should not be more than 25%. So this is telling me कि मैं क्या करने वाला हूँ. What is the action I'm going to do? Let's say continue. Now this is what it tells me. It tells me to hold these stocks. In this case, SBI, TN Petro, ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, which is a tail stock. It will obviously allocate more money in HDFC because it's telling me to hold it. These are the stocks I need to reduce quantities. And these are the stocks I need to sell, which is Kaya, Mastec, Vodafone India, and say TV18 Broadcast. If I do these actions, I would have got a cash of so much and there is no tax liability out here because they have passed that period. Now let's assume that I say I don't want to edit quantity. I can also say the trim, I don't want to reduce so much. I want to only reduce 5,000 stocks. Accordingly, you see the trim has become lesser. Cash available has become lesser. Now, I say that I don't want to sell Vodafone Idea. So now clearly see what I'm doing. I'm picking this up and I'll drop it to the hold basket. And now you see Vodafone Idea has come here in hold. I'm not selling it. So you can, if you have some personal preferences, if you want to have some personal calls, you can do all of that out here and say that, no, I don't want to sell it. I want to trim less or whatever it is. And you do your actions. It tells you, finally it tells you that whatever I did out here, after that, cash will be available so much, and I'll have a 21,000 tax liability if I were to do this. Right? I say, okay, now let's continue. Now it is making a final plan basis my suggestions, because it has now captured my stock level suggestions as well. I don't know what, there's some internet issue today. I'm really sorry for this. Let me just quickly go there. I'll fast forward to that approach. I'll take less than 30 seconds, I promise you. Yeah, we've come to this page. All I did was I pulled Vodafone Ideas into the whole basket, and let's say continue. Yeah, it's telling me my plan, and then I say continue. It is giving me an option to change my market cap allocation if I feel like, but I will go as per the suggested. I say continue, and it just tells me what stocks to add. The total cash available is say 1 crore 37 lakhs here. I have to just say plus. Tata Steel, the allocation is already here, right? So I say plus. As soon as I say plus, keep an eye on this 137, that will reduce. So I say plus, I add plus, all the quantities are already given, how much I need to add. I've added all of the large caps, mid caps, then I go into the mid cap range. I'm now adding mid caps. I've done the addition. I need to reduce some. Adjust out here. Sorry, it's adjusting for the corporate action out there. So these things matter a lot when you look at a portfolio and how you need to look at your portfolio, not on a daily basis, but once a month, once a quarter, optimize and see what is it saying, right? Because a lot of things can keep moving out there. You may want to take that suggestion, may not, but at least go through the process to say what it says. I have already spent 1 hour on this, so I'm going to request for a Q&A. But before that, 19,999 for, we are still offering 2 years for people who joined in late. 19,999, the whole of India and US is 1 year. Plus we are offering 2 years for very limited set of users. Otherwise, you can also take the offer of 14,999 as our this January offer for 1 year plus 1 year free. It's a 2-year offer, but 19,999 is a 3-year offer with India and US. The 19,000 for 3-year offer is a very limited time offer. With that note, let's get on to Q&A. I'm sorry I took a lot of time today. Sarang sir, please pick this question. I am a model portfolio user since 2022 and subscribed till 2034. What I have been observing, sir, is my multiple model portfolios have not been generating meaningful returns since, especially since March 2024. Also, that the exit calls usually come in late. By the time exit call is triggered, stock has already come down after generating significant returns, but profit booking calls was not given. Overall, I am not much happy with the model portfolio at this stage, and it gets disappointing to get generating enough alpha in this product being reworked upon the to generate better results. Sir, we have revamped the whole model portfolio IP very recently. So I don't know if you've seen the results of that, but we have looked at all the exit parameters out there as well. As far as Sarangi, your individual portfolio is concerned, I think if you write to customer support to have a review on this portfolio, I would happy to have a detailed review on this portfolio, because I can't get into your login to understand how many calls you've accepted, not accepted. I don't know the portfolio as well. So if you were to send it to us, I'll have somebody review your portfolio and call you back as well. Mr. Harbai Meena, sir, please reduce the fee from 2.5% to 1.5% for all, that is for all old and new investors, even on old or new investments. Sir, we can't do that. Please don't put in a request to reduce fees further, because we do our best. We are a company which is giving you 2 years of free subscription. Which company does that today? So we do a lot of our effort, which is for fees, and for what you're typically asking here for a 5 lakh or a 10 lakh portfolio, you're talking about 1,500, 2,000 rupees difference. So I personally feel that you should trust us that when we put our best foot forward during the times of offer, like 19,999 for 3 years, 1 year ka price pe 2 saal free. इससे ज़्यादा तो अभी people can say that give us 1 more year free. That is never ending. But I can tell you that our offers are the most liberal offers in the market, and that's the reason we close them very soon. Sir, I will not be able to give everything at 1.25%. So that's not possible. Deepak, how many portfolios can one create? I thought the max was 5. Your screen seemed to have a lot more. What is the risk-adjusted return? How does one read the data there? Similarly with volatility. Volatility is basically how volatile is your portfolio versus the index. So if your portfolio is more volatile or less volatile. When we say risk-adjusted return, we say what is the risk that you're taking. So basically, if your portfolio is done, say 13-14% return, it's majorly large cap, your risk-adjusted return is very good because you took relatively lower risk to generate higher returns. If you're essentially invested only in small caps and you're rating a 25-30% return, your risk-adjusted returns are higher because you're taking higher risk to generate higher returns. So risk-adjusted returns are not very difficult to understand. It basically tells me what is 1 unit of risk that I'm taking to create, and 1 unit of risk is creating what unit of return for me. That is the risk-adjusted return. The total number of portfolios that you can store is 5 only, sir. My portfolio is not showing. My portfolio actually is showing only 5. If you were to, can you show me the screen, please? I keep testing on this. So if you see here, Mohit, there are 4 portfolios which are Indian portfolios. The remaining are the US portfolios that I have. But I have maybe 2 more here. So I have 6 portfolios. Maybe I have got a promoter advantage. So they have opened up, maybe given me the liberty of more. But for one country, we had kept a limit of 5 portfolios. And wherever people have some more portfolios, they always come back to us. We increase it by 1 or 2 portfolios. So that's not a problem. We can always do that. But the limit is currently 5. Mohit, I know I'm late, but can we get a 3-year offer of link? I can only see 2-year for 14. Yadavji, we have finished that offer of 14,999. If you want, I will just give it to you, but I will keep it on only for 1 hour. Jason just put up the offer of 14,999. There are 2 years free with this. This is coming with the other question that I came, that we try and do whatever we can at best. But I assure you that I will close this offer in the next 1 hour. Give the link for 14,999 for 1 year plus 2 years free instead of 1 year free. But Yadavji, this will be the last time that we're doing that. With that note, it's 8:15 almost. I take your leave. I'll see you tomorrow. We have me and Sunil are coming in with the Equity Outlook 2026. Don't miss it. It will be the 2 of us together, and we will give you what our expectations are in the year 2026. Extremely, extremely important webinar to attend. Good night.